Hello everyone, welcome to the Jenkins Infrastructure weekly team meeting. Today we are the 12th November 2024. Around the virtual table you have myself, Damien Duportal, Jay Reddy, Mark White, Stéphane Merle, Bruno Verraten and Kevin Martins. Welcome everyone. Okay, so let's get started on the announcements. First of all, Jenkins weekly releases. So last week, the version 2.484 has been released with no hiccups. And this week, the 2.485 started on time. So we will have to watch it, and it should be available in a few hours. Any other announcement, folks? Oh, sorry. Up. Wrong screen. Any other announcements?
None
Okay,
from me.
good.
Wait a sec. Wait a sec. Announcements. Oh, yeah, I just did a bunch of them in the governance meeting. Hang on. Before you
Mhm.
go off that, because I'll bring us back to the announcements. I'll make us do it over and over again if I don't get them all. Just a minute while I go look at the
Mhm.
governance meeting announcements. So, do we need to? Oh, we've got upcoming calendar. Maybe that's good enough. Okay, the calendar is fine. I'll bring them up there. So, no announcements from Mark.
Okay. I don't have other announcement either. Okay, so for the upcoming calendar. Next week, we will have a weekly release. 2.486 should be released next Tuesday. We should be the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 19 November. 27 November, we will have a new LTS release. Kristen will be the release lead. Do we
And
have?
the release candidate comes out tomorrow.
Okay. RC tomorrow.
Right.
13 of. Thanks, Mark.
Hmm.
I don't see any advisory published on the public calendar. Last message was from Daniel Beck to October. On the upcoming 3 weeks, we will have two credentials that will expire. Both are the credential used by either Trusted CI Controller or the Jenkins core release process to access Azure, one for creating virtual machine agents, and the other to retrieve the Vault credential to sign certificate for publishing new Jenkins release. Both of them will expire 20 November, so I believe we should start working on these two elements in the upcoming milestone. We have a few major events as a reminder. Jenkins election, the voting has started. Yeah, Damien copy and paste it from past weeks. So if you have registered and have not yet voted, please vote. If you have registered and have not received an email about account activation, please contact the board. You have instruction or Markway directly. And if you have not registered, sorry for you, too late as
Oh,
far
no,
as
no,
I.
no. Actually, and that's changed. As
Oh,
of yesterday, the governance board approved that the registration
okay.
should reopen. And I like their attitude, actually. I hadn't thought about this before, but there's no reason we can't register voters while we're voting, right? So we actually have added two or three additional registrations since then. So there are some people registering, and they're people I recognize. So I'm very, very grateful. Oh, you
Cool.
know what? I wanted them to be able to vote. I'm glad, even if they missed the first deadline, I'm glad they've registered.
Yes. Anything else on elections?
We've almost got 50% of voters, of registered voters, already have cast their vote in the election. So we have good engagement. I dream of getting to 80%, and I would love for us to reach 100 registered voters instead of our current 75-ish, 77-ish. So, but we may not
Yep.
reach 100, but I would really like to reach 80% of voters having actually voted. If
Cool.
you have not voted yet, please vote.
Cool. Thanks.
Mm,
Reminder that end of year means usually Christmas holidays and New Year's Eve holidays for some countries in the Occidental or North Hemisphere. So that means that we will have 2 weeks of releases break, meaning no new weekly release or LTS at all during these 2 weeks because we won't have too much person available, which means we will delay the third edition of the current LTS line to the 8th January 2025. And finally, reminder that first week of February, Brussels in Belgium will host the FOSDEM during the weekend, so the Friday just before, aka the 31 January 2025, we will have Jenkins Contributor Summit because a lot of Jenkins contributor will be gathered in Brussels for that event.
And the board yesterday reaffirmed that the $9,000 from software in the public interest will be used to fund travel for contributors to reach the Contributor Summit. I still have
Cool.
to submit the prioritized list and discuss it with them.
One step after the other.
Right.
Anything else on the upcoming calendar announcement, things to say before we go on cloud budgets? Okay. Azure CDF is currently in the right lane. We have consumed for November 1.5K so far. That's a forecast around 4.1. That's expected. No exceptional consumption, so we're in line. Good. Regarding Azure sponsorship account, we have consumed 3.7K, which is a forecast around 9.1K on linear extrapolation. So that means we have consumed a bit less than the past months, and we are in line with August and September. So let's continue like this. Ideally, when we will have moved CI Jenkins IO, but we spend our time on other things.
Yeah, so
Uh,
given that
mhm.
spend, we've got 6 months left before the May 2025 expiration. So we really do need to move off
Yep,
of Azure to AWS. Otherwise, we'll run out of money on the Azure account.
exactly. The only
Okay,
reason why we haven't started showing real life is that not only it requires foundational work, but also we had the update center last
right,
brownouts.
right,
That's the only reason. But yes, otherwise that's the top priority right after update center.
great.
On Digital Ocean, same, we are in lane 65, forecast as 165. That's okay. We have plenty of credits available.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And when
nothing else.
when do we submit the request to DigitalOcean to renew?
I
Are we on?
propose beginning of December, if that's
Okay,
okay.
great. All
Uh,
right.
we could start in November, so we have plenty of time to change things if you would prefer. Um, that I won't have time to spend on this on the upcoming milestone, but we can start in 2 weeks with no problem.
Yeah, December, when you planned it in December is great with me. It just, there was a question in the governance meeting from Uli
Mhm.
Hoffner about, hey, should we use more of DigitalOcean? And I explained to him that it's intentional, the amount that we're using right now, because of the convenience of using Azure donation instead of DigitalOcean.
Exactly.
Great.
Um, Two things to take in account. First, I don't remember when is Thanksgiving exactly, but it's in November.
27, the last 3 calendar days, or the last 3 calendar weekdays of November.
Okay, so that's why I usually had the beginning of December in mind because it's easier to catch our American friend on the sponsor team of Digital Ocean after Thanksgiving than before.
Yes, yeah, and December, prior to December 1 is questionable for sure.
Requesting extension in December. Something else, we might have a risk that they do not renew or at least decrease, not only because we haven't consumed all the credits, of course, but also because the last results of Digital Ocean, the last quarter was really bad. Even though they make a lot of money and they had grew their customer base, but you know how the financial markets are working. You do good result, you make money, but somehow you lose money.
Mm.
I don't understand either. But yeah, that could be a risk for us. So let's crossing finger and we'll see. On the AWS front, We have consumed 2.3K, which is a forecast at 6.2, so we are also in lane. Um, uh, we'll see with the update center, but if we are able to have the update center, the new update center used in production, these will clearly be below the forecast. So let's see, crossing fingers. And we have started to consume way more on the sponsored accounts. So not only Jay's work, but also Stefan's work with the first EKS cluster being started to fine-tune all the settings and test our infra's code. We have a forecast at 500, which means we are consuming credits in a visible way on that account, because that will be the first month in which we will cross the threshold of the free tier account. So yes, congrats and good job, everyone. Anything on the cloud budgets? Okay. Let's have a look at the tasks that we were able to finish during the last milestone. Top level, we were able to fix the last update center issues. So thanks, Mark, for opening that issue, because with the fifth brownout and the last element, we missed that we had symlinks. And one of the last changes we did 1 week ago did break these symlinks. So we have found, with the help of Stefan, we found and worked and fixed that problem. We thank Stefan for also adding this slash latest endpoint to the monitoring. So if we break it again in the future, the monitoring will send and throw things in our face, which is a good thing. And that allowed us, we'll see later, that allowed us to run a successful sixth and last brownout with the new system. We are ready to go production. We also have, thanks Kosuke, thanks Andrew, thanks Chris also for monitoring this. Our statistics are back to normal. So there might be 1 or 2 days missing at the end of October, but Andrew is working with KK on this one. So the hole has been filled and now we are back to a regular process. So thanks everyone. Just for information, I should try to get a bit of contact with Andrew in the upcoming weeks. We will start a set of session so he will describe me the different steps he's running, what will be needed. The exercise will be for me to transmit that knowledge to both Stefan and Mark. So to see if I understand and if it raises more question, and then I will go back to Andrew. The goal is to go step by step to get the task out from Andrew machine in his basement so we can get it back on the infrastructure part. I don't know for the Kosuke part because Kosuke is working on the sensitive part, which is anonymizing the data. We'll see, I think next year discussing this. But right now, removing that task from Andrew will be a first good step for us. We had a bunch of issues that we had to fix unexpected related to the latest AZ copy updates. 10.27.0 seems to have an issue when creating when doing an mkdir-p command basically on the remote file share. It fails to concurrently create multiple directories at the same time. So it's a yes, it's created, but they are not. So then when trying to copy files in it, it fails. That's cooked us on almost all of our websites. Yes, that's an eventually consistent system as usual. Or POSIX for the win. So we fixed these issues, although thanks everyone involved in raising that issue. That had an impact on a plugin contributor. I hope they are not too mad, but they raised the issue and thanked and confirmed it was working. They did everything that was documented on the contributor side, but we were failing to deploy the update since a few days ago. So thanks everyone for the help. That raises a question and a new issue I need to open and we need to discuss. I will put it on the top level of the new issue to triage. Monitor, private, controller, jobs. We'll get back to that subject. So the AZ copy thing has been fixed everywhere. It has been downgraded everywhere. I'm waiting for Microsoft to give us a feedback on what is the problem. So please don't upgrade AZ copy. Stay on the 10.26. I cannot reproduce the issue with my local macOS IZ copy version. So there is a weird thing going on. We will report to Microsoft and they will check. We also had a bomb release issue, set of issue, mostly related to the way the system is working. We basically hit the maximum amount of GitHub check that you can associate to a commit. If you pass the threshold of 1,000 check for a given commit, then GitHub might or might not start to drop checks to keep the threshold under 1,000. Still, 2,000 checks were sent for the last commit that we were trying to release, so that was quite the issue. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Adrien, for taking care of this. There might be improvement in the specific case of BOM, especially the reason for triggering builds, because we already have 800 checks naturally due to the way the BOM build is built with all these elements. 4 checks per parallel stage, 250 stages. But also each of these check trigger a new GitHub build, which in itself had a check. So it's an exponential growth. There might be improvements, but yeah, nothing expected from the Jenkins Infra team except knowing we have this limit and that the bomb build can have this limit. The release was done. Thanks for the effort of everyone. Is there any question? Cool. We had 401 issue during CD deployment. We checked with the help of Tim. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was user-facing issue. Just let me check that I don't forget anything. Oh, no. No, that was a Damien-led issue. My bad. I forgot in August when I renewed the token use an Artifactory with the admin permission for the repository permission updater job. I forgot to add a calendar event 1 week before expiration of that token, and that token expired next week, leading to the repository permission updater job failing.
You mean
But
last
not
week?
last week, yeah. So I've documented the steps just for anyone later, but only an Artifactory admin can renew this one. So it relies on me and I'm the bus factor here. I've added a calendar event this time. And Tim, oh no, Jesse. Jesse mentioned maybe OIDC could be used in the future for authenticating instead of a token. Technically, yes, but that will open the road to a brand new set of features and working with Artifactory. I don't feel good about this. So yeah, I prefer improving with a calendar event and having the other throw things at me for not forgetting next time in 3 months. So that has been fixed, and the 401 were only during 24 hours. Thanks, Jesse, for opening the issue. Thanks, Tim, for the help. Any question? And finally, we had a cleanup task. While we are moving CI Jenkins IO to AWS, we did the opposite with Trusted CI 1 year ago, more or less. And as part of that, we forgot to remove the remaining AWS plugins in the controller. So no functional impact, but that was a usual cleanup. Less plugin means less things to maintain and easier and more sustainable. We had an issue closed as not planned. Someone mixed our repository with support. Any questions so far on the closed tasks? Okay, so let's look at the work in progress. Top priority update center. 6th brownout was the last and successful. So with the help of Stefan, we finished the tiny last element. So now we can go on production next Monday. Production, we will be 18. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, and we now got the Cloudflare logs.
Yep.
So, and blog post and announcement and status and other things, or?
No, we need to write them as part of the milestone this week
Okay.
for that target.
Great.
Blog post to do. Status. No, we don't need to update status. That's the good thing. It's not an outage. So we have blog posts and other announcements. Announcements to do. Fixed all unexpected HTTP 404 and Cloudflare logs, access logs are streamed and parsed in Datadog. So that's a good thing because we can observe requests. We have a few optimization to run before or after the production deployment. First one, add archives.jenkins.io as fallback. We don't need it for the production, but we need to do it as soon as possible now. In the optimization that we saw, we could improve the update center 2 generation.
Improve as in make it faster or?
Yes, sorry. Make a bit faster.
Good.
Room for optimization. Is that better wording?
That's great. Thank you. Yeah. So we're fast enough already for production release, but being faster is almost always a positive, particularly with Update Center.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Cron is set to 6 minutes. So we decrease from 10 to 6 minutes the cron because with the latest changes.
Good. Okay.
Update Apache htdocs as last step. Also, that's part of the update in Update Center 2. So that's also an optimization. But when we have a new version of Jenkins core during the first Update Center right after the release, there is a window of 2 to 3 minutes in which you can have 404 if you are launching a new version of the controller. But at the second run, it's fixed. So that's a minor change raised by Daniel. Still worth fixing it for the future, but no rush on this one.
Yes, this one can slow down the full process because we do everything by parallelization, with parallelization, and to make sure that this one will run at last, we need to take it out of the parallelization. So we may increase the timing, the full timing.
Depends on how you do it. I cannot say it's always true, and I cannot say it's always wrong. So I'm just because it's a matter of implementation, and we are not here to decide of the implementation. However, that could be linked to something else, which is cleanup. We will have to watch the other machine, and the other machine won't go away immediately. We will need to move and PKG move because it hosts Update Center, but also PKG. VM, whole VM, kg.origin.io to be migrated first. So no cleanup to run on the VM itself. However, we will have Update Center 2 cleanup of the whole VM 1 month after the production if no rollback. So that's the proposal. We will move to the new system, but the Update Center will keep both new and old system up to date every 6 minutes, at least for 1 month. In 1 month, we will, if we don't have any rollback, any major issue with the new system, we will clean up Update Center and remove the steps that copy the Update Center bits to that machine. We will only keep copying the binaries, the plugin binaries that were released. That's the only step because it's PKG origin and then get Jenkins.io, which means we will be able to optimize the Update Center way more. That will be the right moment for me to do it with the Apache stuff. Okay? I don't think we should rush making it faster right now. 6 minutes is acceptable. We can do better, but it's
Great.
not needed.
Yes.
What else do we have? DNS. When we will stop updating the whole machine, the whole DNS AWS updates.jenkins.io Apache v hosts in Puppet for the VM. We will have to clean up code in Puppet. So we would have the machine package origin stopped serving requests for the update center at all. And then at that moment, we will see if we see another decrease of outbound bandwidth and cost on the machine. That means we were having person forcing access to the IP of the machine. That can still happen. Yes, that's an old machine, so plenty of time to find awful hacks, clearly. Why am I saying that? Is because Stefan and I cooked in the Cloudflare access log, sorry. We cooked HTTP 0404 errors that were weird. They were in the form of, so we have the host name, / latest / something. So two weird things. First, the host name was the mirror host name, not the get Jenkins IO old mirror, the new mirror,
Yeah.
which is
East
really
America
weird.
or West Europe.
Exactly, that's the Cloudflare URL. So these requests are directly made to the mirrors. They don't even go to the new Apache or the new mirror bits, which means clearly there is someone writing a script that gets the host name of the redirection chain at the end. And the double slash. I mean, raise your hand if you never wrote a script involving building URL while concatenating string. You never had double slash when concatenating strings. I
No,
see all of
I'm
you
perfect
because I do the
scripting.
same. And finally, just to be sure that I can nail correctly with my hammer, the user agent is always curl. I mean, who uses curl except person writing shell scripts? So we have one eventual possibility we haven't checked in details that could be the hold install plugin.sh. That was a shell script embedded on the Jenkins Docker image for controller that was using a shell script before we had the nice Jenkins plugin CLI Java command line, the native one. It's been at least 1.5 years since we have changed that script to use Jenkins plugin CLI instead. Let me rephrase that. If we have person using a Jenkins version older than 1.5 years, I don't think we should support the use case. So that's why we consider these usages to be either they update their script and they keep using update Jenkins IO. If you remove this, the mirrors.updates, that work. It's not a 404 error. Yes, Mark, you are raising your hand.
Yeah, so the other reason not to worry about 18-month-old configurations is that we only retain update center data for about 13 or 14 months. So they're already, if it's actually someone who's running that old a version, they were already getting bad data from update. They were getting
Makes sense.
inaccurate data for their usage from update center. There's no benefit to us, uh, not enough benefit to us anyway to worry about that. Yep.
So yeah, if you see people complaining about this, tell them, hey, use update Jenkins IO as the base host name and everything will fix. And
Right.
most probably they are using a crawler or a custom script. So maybe they have a legit use case, but they have to fix their script because their script is wrong. We never committed to maintain that endpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we will have a step one in 1 month after, so around 18 or 19 December, we will finally shut down everything. Is that okay for everyone? Does it raise question? Are there other topics you want to mention on the update center area? Cool. So let's go for Monday, and we will report Tuesday during the team meeting. Next topic, moving CI Jenkins IO from Azure sponsorship account to AWS. Work in progress. Stefan is working on the new EKS cluster that will serve for mainly for ephemeral agents that will require to install ACP, Datadog, and stuff. Right now, we are working on the Terraform management of this cluster. Stefan discovered that one of the assumptions I made during proposing the plan is wrong. EKS requires two subnets. It was written in the network pre-requirement that I linked on the issue and I read at least 12 times and I missed that particular bullet. I'm mad
Yeah,
at myself, so sorry.
that's specifically badly word, how you say that? Wordless, I think.
I missed it and I think that's I don't know why. No reason, but we need to create two subnets in two distinct availability zones on the same region. We cannot have only one. So that was a bit of slowdown, but most of the blockers have been solved by Stefan on the permission area. Um, Summary, permissions in AWS are a nightmare. Clearly, I love Azure.
Is there any worse word than nightmare? Because I mean, nightmare is too small. It's too
Oh no, I
nice. I
am
mean,
is
really.
awful. I mean, but yeah, we were able to find a compromise. We sacrifice a bit of security and it's a bit of maintenance, but at least we don't let Terraform manage IAM permissions. So we clearly close a big security hole here that we used to have with the previous setup. And now Stefan is working on the network part. So we are almost there to have the first EKS cluster.
Yes, but that means
Yeah,
I'm back to the other issue because the network is on the setting the network. That's the other issue.
exactly.
VPC.
Yeah, good point. So that's why I've put it as first. Because now Stefan has to create a new subnet fixed to the network thing, which blocks me and Jay on working on the virtual machine because that's the same VPC. Not a problem. It's just a Gantt diagram here. So as soon as Stefan is done with the AZ, I can resume the work on network ACL and security group. Most probably, I will involve Stefan and we will pair on this one. Because the network is never easy, and if we have to make choice, I shouldn't be the only person to make them.
Yeah, with pleasure.
And since I'm blocked, I'm supporting Stefan and Jay on their respective works. So the goal is to have EKS machine as soon as EKS cluster as soon as possible. Then we will unblock the Terraform and I can move on network ACL and create the virtual machine for the controller. On the ephemeral VM agent, right now Jay is blocked. So Jay was in holidays. I hope you rested well. Still stuck because the work that Jay did, we showed that the plugin was working. We might miss a bit of Gcask setup, but we cannot test it right now. So there is no point in wasting Jay's time on this right now. So the only actionable on the CI area for Jay is the garbage collector for Packer images and eventually Windows images.
Yeah, I need to sync up with the team right after this meeting about that.
Yep, yep, no problem. I assume permission and jobs issue. The goal, as a reminder, is to move the garbage collector away from the current Packer build. We want to have a separate job now that we know how to do this. It wasn't the case in the past when we created the garbage collector. And yeah, as I said, controller is blocked by network. So let's delay that last one. Anything else on CI Jenkins IO? Question, clarification, things I could have missed? Okay. So let's go on update CLI tasks. These tasks are usual keep the infrastructure updated system. We're improving more and more, and it's also an opportunity for Jay to discover the different components and projects on the platform. Jay, can you give us a bit of head-ups on the two two issues here.
Yeah, so we were able to track our Linux-based images for AWS. We were able to track the AMI IDs for our base images. Uh, we were also able to do that for Docker, and it's almost done. It's just the build command that needs to be modified for the to use the images that we're pinning, the Docker images that we're pinning, and yeah, for Azure, I think Stefan has taken care of that.
Yes. So Azure Windows, same. With Azure Linux. Pinning and tracking. Okay. And you have another issue, thanks. Unless, is there any question on this one? Nope. Okay, so next one. Can you
Uh,
give us a status of the outbound IP tracking?
yeah, it's in progress. So the thing is, our the HCL parser has a problem with how do you put it, Damien?
So HCL parser in update CLI has an issue updating complex local HCL local structure.
Yeah,
That's an issue that Stefan already hit and opened an issue on update CLI, which is not directly due to update CLI, but to the upstream library we use to parse HCL language. So that require us we cannot have nested maps in locals in Terraform or Packer HCL. Otherwise, we cannot track them. So I've shown and I pointed the issue that Stefan opened to Jay, and he saw that one of the update CLI contributor has a hack that should work in that case. Particularly since here we are managing complex structure. We retrieve collection of IPs and we need to update collections. It's not a single string, so we have typing challenges for Jay. That's a great exercise.
yeah. Thanks,
So that's
Damien, for explaining. This was too much technical jargon to remember after holidays.
no problem. Also, as part of the work in progress, Jay raised an issue. We are missing some information on the report. Right now, in the missing one, he cooked the VPN outbound IP is now exported in our automatic reports. So that means not only here, but everywhere where we have the VPN IP, we can now open the road to track that IP and update it when we need it, because it's on a report. So thanks, Jay. And by the way, Stefan, you were right. The public IP for outbound is also the public IP for inbound. We had to check this to be sure that we were exporting the right one, so that has been checked. That's the default Azure behavior. Even if you have an ad gateway, if you have a public IP, by default, the VM will use the public IP, unless you explicitly tell it not to do that.
I think I read that. So
Most probably, I think that was you had that gut feeling, so good one. If I'm not mistaken, the World GeoIP thing has been delayed, Stefan.
yes, completely. Those
Do you
those
think
day off in France, are killing the
all this French person not able to walk?
people.
Nah. Um, do you think you will be able to work on that task, or should we send it back to the backlog?
No, no, keep it. That's my update CLI of J, but for me, that's
Okay.
the thing I keep when I want to have something.
Okay. In the area of tasks that were delayed, because we spent our time on the AZ copy issues, CI Jenkins IO has an available update for the Datadog plugin. That's a major update. And should I remind you that last major update of that plugin went terribly wrong? So that means in this week, at a moment on time, we will have to back up CI Jenkins IO, run the upgrade, run a few jobs, and cross fingers.
Oh, we will
Otherwise, we will
break
have
CI.
to
Okay.
restore the backup and lose 1, 2, 3 hours of data. I don't have any other alternative. Worth double checking the content of the pull request between the current plugin version we have and the new 8 dot something to see if some Java code touched the pulled break jobs.
I'm not quite sure we will be able to see that just by seeing the code in Java.
Um,
We'll see.
if you see serializing XML, most probably you can start being scared.
Okay.
But yeah, to be fair to the Datadog plugin maintainer, they tested last time, but the issue they had, the bug was really a tricky one due to a not synchronized thread trying to serialize the same data at the same time, and one was losing track. So yeah, concurrent programmation is hard and will always be hard. So most probably Thursday. Is there any objection if we plan it Thursday morning in the Europe and still night in the US?
Good for me.
Or Thursday needs to announce
As a
status.
reminder, I won't be there on Wednesday, so Thursday
Mhm.
is good.
Yep. I will want to avoid doing this Friday, not this one.
Agreed.
We had two GSOC tasks. One Tim and Valentin should have synced and migrated things. I haven't seen the activity. Okay. Okay, so I will ping them. They didn't move, so no action expected from us until they do it. We cannot do. Um, Nothing done. Need to ping. And the last one was blocked. Nothing done. We need to prepare or at least list the task that should be done in case of such a GSOC project. I don't think we should do it because if I understand correctly, Mark and Bruno confirm, please tell me if I'm wrong, that's a GSOC project idea. So we don't have any guarantee right now that we would have to do this project. Is that correct?
Yeah.
As far as I know, yes, that's the case.
Right. I'm not aware of any. It's GSOC projects ideas are being discussed now for
Okay.
2025, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I'll have to double check that specific one, or Damien, you could open it. This is not referring to last year's project because we
There
weren't
was
doing Terraform last year, right?
no, we weren't.
Yep. All around. Okay, so I will, unless someone
Oh
object
no,
or shows it's a,
Alaurent is in fact was last year's contributor.
Yes,
oh,
but she hasn't been seen for months, so I even don't know if she managed to do the Terraform thing. Maybe.
nothing has been done. I think it's just Alex asking the requirements.
Oh,
They gave us in August an explanation with the help of Tim. So yeah, proposal is that I will write down what is required from us and from the applicants. We'll describe how we run the Terraform project and we need a state, we need this, we need job, we need whatever. And then
Right.
I will close the issue as done because it's just a matter of sharing information. I thought it was requiring more things from us, but yeah, that will serve as documentation for next year and
Mhm.
no more work on
Thank
it.
you.
Should be only documenting things. That's all on the work in progress. On the triage, before we jump on the monitor private, first of all, Mark, you raised an issue about Maven Central artifacts being downloaded from repo jenkinci.org. I understand that it's on project side, but that might require checking the configuration on repo Jenkins CI. Is that correct?
My concern was that this might indicate some surprise on the repo configuration. Yeah, because I was not expecting to get org.junit.junit-bomb from repo. I was expecting that to come from Maven Central. In other cases, and those are relatively small things. So it's not that they are huge, but it was an indication that something has changed. We used to get those from Maven Central, as far as I know. We're now getting them from repo.jenkinsci.org, and I don't know what changed that would cause that to happen.
Okay, so first of all, just for everyone, it's not related to artifact crashing proxy, and it's not related to
No,
CI Jenkins IO build or
neither
the
of those.
releases.
Right. It is unrelated to those.
Exactly, it's a setting on Artifactory that most probably changed or we ignored for whatever reason, and now we see. I'm not sure which one. We need to check. Uh, Most probably one of the mirrored repository is getting artifact that has served as part of the whole mirror stuff. So maybe we will need to exclude these artifact IDs by collections to be sure that they are served by the Apache Central.
So we may, because the fact that those exist on repo is in and of itself for me a bit of a surprise, because I didn't think we were trying to cache Maven Central anymore. So their existence on repo was a surprise. And it's not that it's terribly harmful, but we are using Artifactory bandwidth that had intentionally been tried to be shifted to use Maven Central bandwidth.
Absolutely. So that will be it's on a new milestone, and I will have to check this, eventually double checking with Basil and Daniel.
Okay, thank you.
Daniel for the Artifactory configuration side knowledge, and Basil for the client side and dependency management part.
Well, and Basil and I were both involved in the discussion that led to this help desk, so he's aware of the question, so that's perfect.
Cool.
Because
Okay.
he was the one who pinged me and said, "Hey, Mark, are you seeing this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll submit an issue." So he's aware that something is different also for him as it is for me.
Okay, cool. So we'll have to look on it, but it's not directly infrastructure related, it's Artifactory related.
Right, and it's not that it is not an urgent, desperate priority. This is rather us having a chance to be ahead of a likely future when Artifactory, when JFrog may come to us and say, "Hey, you've got to reduce your bandwidth use again." It's just good for us to detect our own changes before they tell us we're consuming more than they want us to.
Yep, makes sense. So on the new issue for triage, monitoring CD secret updates. So as pointed out by Tim, the GitHub API shows and provides the date and time of when was a given GitHub repository secret was updated. So following the whole private monitoring, that could be useful for us in Datadog to have a monitor if it's not unsafe, but at least on Jenkins Infra test plugin, only that repository. We will see how we could use, because we need a token only on this one that can only read that value, not the secret value, but the metadata. So Datadog could tell us, hey, the secret hasn't been updated since the past 4 hours and alert us, which means the repository permission update fails explicitly or not explicitly. I think that's a good point because, yeah, that's a plugin used to test the plugin usual monitoring thing. So I think it's worth checking the secret part. Can we have a GitHub scoped token only on this to avoid any risk? Worst case, someone can publish this plugin that serves no purpose. I believe that should be really useful. Is the goal clear, or if it's not, I don't mind spending time after the meeting showing details, but that looks a good idea. On the side of monitoring, given how the CI Jenkins IO tasks are blocking Stefan and I most of the time, Jay, I think I have a proposal for you for your next big task, not this week, but the week after. That will be to start working on us having a way to monitor the jobs running on the private controller, such as Infra CI or Trusted CI. Because in the past weeks, months, years, a lot of time this has been requested, sorry, because sometimes we have a job that fails and we should be aware as soon as possible. Repository permission updater we just discussed about is one of the important one, but not only. Update center, deployment of the website, such as stats, Jenkins.io, Jenkins.io itself, and many others. The AZ copy issue we had last week showed that we weren't fast enough to be alerted that something is going wrong. We could have cooked that way earlier. As such, we have different solutions. Hervé did some proof of concept last year, but this proof of concept weren't safe at all. There were a bunch of good ideas, but the key is that we want the private controller never be accessed by the monitoring job. You cannot directly monitor. You need to monitor an intermediate thing. So that will involve on most of our pipeline to write what we call a shared pipeline library. It's a function that you can reuse on your pipeline that provides something. Today, we already have function for building and deploying Docker images, for running update CLI, for doing Terraform stuff. So that will be an opportunity for you, Jay, to start learning and writing in Groovy language and mastering the shared library, because that's required, that's pipeline. And the whole idea come from Daniel Buck since years ago. I will give, so my task for this week is to give details, issue and write specification mostly. But the concept is the following. Each of the important job we want to monitor will need to call the pipeline library at the end, whatever status they have. So you are the equivalent of the post or try catch method. At the end, it writes on a JSON file, a bit like the reports we have right now and you are using for keeping the infrastructure up to date. We would have private report in a JSON or YAML format that say, hey, job name, controller name, status, and last, the date time of the last update. And then we will be able to monitor these 4 elements that are clearly way less sensitive than directly installing plugins, sending data, doing webhooks. We will decide if we publish that on a public or protected area. I say protected because it's a public-facing domain name, but require authentication or IP restriction. And then we will see what we can do. The goal is to have Datadog be monitoring the reports and not the controller directly. We will make an indirect observation of the system. So that will be a bit of Azure and mostly writing pipeline shared library. The goal is really valuable for us because that allows us to have way more prompt monitoring in case of issues on these vital elements.
So we'd be using Datadog as for the monitoring step.
Like we already use Datadog. We already have plenty of monitors that will be a new monitor. That part is the easiest.
Okay.
Each important pipeline, RPU, website deployment, will call a pipeline library to write to reports at Jenkins.io, name, status, timestamp. Datadog monitors the reports and alert us in case of failure or max elapsed time since last update, which mean the last elapsed time since last update means something failed to update the report. That can be the report, that can be the pipeline library, that can be the controller, that can be a lot of things. But that should alert us and ring PagerDuty to to prompt us to, hey, have a look at this. So today, that's Damien. Start issue writing specs. Then Ajay will get to learn pipeline libraries. The reason, Jay, is not because you are working good or bad on CI Jenkins IO. It's just that we have too much context switching when we are working the three of us on the three tasks. So we prefer having you on a task that's where you are more autonomous, and so Stefan and I can focus on the network part. If we need your help on CI Jenkins IO, we will move you away, context switching again, sorry, but I would prefer everyone to be in line. That's a proposal, let's try it, and if it doesn't work, we all go back to working all on CI.io. Is there any question on this one? 1, 2, 3, okay. We have a bunch of other tasks that are in triage and that will be delayed for next week or later, because they are blocked by something else here. I don't think we have new issues. Let me check. Nope. We don't have new issues open by anyone. So that means we can start working on the new release and the new milestone. Sorry, ooh, I get tired. That's all for me. Are there any questions, things to add, things you want to discuss or clarify? Okay, so I'm gonna stop screen sharing. I'm gonna stop recording. So for people watching us, see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.